How y'all doing? This is Starkey Farmstead, and I am Steven Starkey. And my wife is fixing to take off with y'all on Inflation Reduction Act. Please subscribe and hit that like button.
I just spoke to my dad, Papa Sammy. If you guys have not subscribed to his YouTube channel, he is 80. He is our farm manager, and he is amazing. It's Papa Sammy and Allybug, and I promise you, amazing. The man has a green thumb, like you wouldn't believe, but he's wise. So I called him and I said, Dad, this Inflation Reduction Act and Climate Reduction Act, whatever they want to call that part, is really going to hit new farmers, old farmers. Like, this could be such a game changer. And my Biloxi born and bred dad from a sharecropping family is exactly what he said to me. Honey, they think they're smarter than we are. He goes, they truly, honestly sit in Washington, D.C., and they think that we're all ignorant. And I'll let that sink in. He said, if you asked them to their face, they would tell you they're doing what's best for you, because you, viewer, subscriber, please remember to subscribe, cannot think for yourself. He said, look, you tell your subscribers that Papa Sammy said this. There is nothing they can pass that a good redneck can't think around. That tickled my heart, y'all. Because basically what he's saying is, and when he uses the word redneck, he means everybody that thinks differently from that little group of policymakers. People who live in the real world, right? People who understand that one crisis to another is ridiculous. People who understand fear-mongering is ridiculous. And then I said, Dad, you know, I saw some YouTube videos that are like, if you're not homesteading yet, it's too late. If you're not doing this, it's too late. He goes, Pumpkin, it's never too late. It's never too late to wake up. And it made me kind of think, and I said, you know, he's right. Like, we've all heard stories of people on their deathbeds giving their life to Christ. Like, as long as you have breath in your body, it is never too late. It's never too late. Stop listening to people who are going to fearmonger you. Listen to people who are going to tell you the truth. This is what you need to be prepared for. This is what their laws are saying. And I'm telling you now, in this new Inflation Reduction Act, what you're going to see is that there is something like, off the top of my head, because I don't have my notes in front of me, which I usually have notes, $80 million that should start being sent out to farmers September 30th of 2022, literally to stop and pay farmers to stop farming certain crops, to cover crop more, to let their land rest for longer periods. Guys, it's going to slow down food production like you've never seen, and we're already in a food crisis worldwide. So I'm not telling you not to farm. In fact, my dad's suggestion was to tell you, if you haven't started, get some pots. And if you've only got one tomato plant, good for you. You're one tomato plant ahead of like 200 million people in America. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, start anywhere. Start anywhere. But I wanted to also tell you guys that we're kind of rebranding ourselves. I had a wonderful lady that I was introduced to through Muse 3 Farms, which is a generational Black-owned family in my parish in the state of Louisiana. I mean, amazing farm, like generation to generation. And what they're doing is like cutting edge, but they're so large. Like, that is where I'm going. All right. So I believe that what I listen to is how I'm going to behave. What I look at is what I'm going to become. So I like to rub shoulders with people who are where I want to be. Right. So I want to be 100 years from now, Starkey Farmstead, to be in the position that Muse 3 Farms is, where my great-grandchildren, my grandchildren are literally running what I created. Like, I love that concept. Like, that resonates through me, spirit and all. So, like, I love to work with them. I get so much information from them, such great people. I mean, all in agriculture, and every different department of agriculture, and, you know, in the community that you can imagine. It's amazing. Like, I love it. They are so involved out here. So I was introduced to this lady through them, and she's a grant facilitator, Miss Annette Sharp. I mean, wonderful woman. So she came and did a tour of our forum to help me write and work on this grant. Like I said, I'm not going to talk about that grant right now because we're in the process. We're unsure if we meet some of the requirements to even write this grant, but we will find other ones. And it's basically for us to be able to train USDA, NRCS, employees and people coming in, farmers, beginning farmers, old farmers, on sustainable farming methods. But after she toured, she talked to me and she said, Sam, you're so much more than what you portray yourself as. Like, you guys say organic and regenerative, and you are that. You are 100% that. She said, but you're something different. And guys, when you have somebody that has her knowledge of farming and rubs shoulders with the farming world and the people in the agricultural universities and land grant universities and the USDA, and she's telling you, like, you're unique in what you do. And basically, she rebranded us, and she's basically like, Sam, you are basically an alpha omega regenerative farm model. Now, what does that mean? Alpha means the beginning, right? That's literally what that word means. Alpha means the beginning. So we took rabbits and paid for 2 acres, and we began to create outputs that we then used to create inputs, that we then used to create outputs. Do you see that? So the omega would be all of the outputs created from the alpha in a regenerative closed loop cycle that reduces input costs and input purchases on our farm, and is steadily creating outputs of various kinds that are then used for a income, or B, to create a sustainable regenerative farm where we are creating soil health, where we are creating soil amendments, where we are creating foliar sprays, where we are creating healthy animals, where they eat the same food that their manure and their bodies helped create the inputs that go into the garden. And so she was like, I mean, it's really unique. She said, you can walk around your farm and you leave the garden here and you start walking across the driveway, and what you see is a rack and pen system where you've got rabbits on one side, chickens on the other, quails. The dog, that's the dog's kennel. Like, they're all in there with him. I don't even shut the coop anymore, because what if something gets in the coop and then the door's shut and he can't get in the coop to defend them? No, I leave it all open now. He has free range to all those animals. From there, they're making all of my compost. All of my chickens make all of my compost. So from there, the compost goes back into the garden. You see that? Then I use the chicken eggshells in the garden, but I also use it in the worm bin for the grit that the worms need. Okay, so the red wigglers play a very important part on eating and reducing any waste products, manure from the other rabbitry, which is on the other side of the farm that was attacked, because that's not where the German Shepherd is. So those rabbits have a purpose. All of their poop, even their urine, is being used as a pest deterrent and a nitrogen fertilizer on our farm. So I get meat from the rabbits, I get fertilizer from the rabbits, I get a soil amendment from the rabbit manure, and I get a pest deterrent and a straight nitrogen fertilizer. You cannot beat. You cannot beat. Okay, so I get all of that just from the rabbits. The chickens give me eggs, they give me meat, they give me compost that you can't beat, because everybody knows chickens scratch it down so it's just nothing but dirt, which is really what a good compost looks like, a very powdery fine dirt, right? And then sometimes I take that compost from there and I layer it back into my red wiggler bins, who are basically my last step in making sure I literally have no waste leaving my farm. My pond, she was here when it was raining, and she got to watch the water, because I have like a little waterfall, because my land is sloped. And I mean, it's not like 1.5 feet, but it's amazing to watch it pour into the pond and fill the pond back up. And she was like, it's so clear. All that water is running through my deep mulch system garden straight into my pond, and there's absolutely no dirt running into that pond. It's beautiful. It's crystal clear water pouring into the pond. So the pond houses fish, snakes, turtles. We even had a one-eyed alligator in there for a while, but it found its way, back through here into a bigger pond a couple acres away from us. I mean, we get critters out here. It's part of life. So, but I mean, it you know what I'm saying? Like, it's all a sustainable ecosystem. There are no poisons used anywhere on this property. The animals are naturally, herbally worms. We treat everything that way. I mean, the most powerful thing I use is iodine to heartworm treat my dogs every 6 months, and on wounds like I did with the rabbits when it's a last resort. Otherwise, everything's apple cider vinegar, herbs out of the garden, herbs out of the kitchen, pumpkin seeds. I tell you guys all the time, pumpkin seeds kill tapeworms. Like, so we are creating a system where I'm steady moving out of the economic world. So if it continues to get bad, it doesn't always affect us. That's what I'm trying to tell you guys. You can do this. You can do this very uniquely. Be you. See your vision through. Don't let anybody tell you it's too late to prep or it's too late to start your dream. My one advice, and my husband's too, don't go in debt for what God has for you. Because if you read through the Bible, he's like, you're a lender, not a borrower. Okay? He who owes money may lose his bed. I mean, guys, God tells you repeatedly, be careful. Be very, very careful. Okay? Because you are basically a slave to who you owe money to. Take the power back. Go to a used vehicle. Buy a mobile home. Live in a tent. Get you a little shed and convert it into a house. If you have half an acre and that's what you can afford with cash, that's what you start with. Because everything that you need is already in your hand. You don't need anybody else to make it happen for you. This vision is so unique that God gave us. And I love that she came out with that name. The Alpha and Omega Regenerative Farm Model. I love it. Like, it couldn't have been more perfect for Starkey Farmstead and the message that we're trying to spread to people. You can create everything that you need. You literally can. I don't need to know everything. I really don't. Like, I don't need a cow. I don't need goats. I know somebody down the road that's got goat milk. I can trade her. She doesn't have any chickens, rabbits. Like, they don't have the things that I have, right? So I can barter with them. So we just wanted to tell you that. I'm going to remind you again. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Okay? We're pushing for 1,000 in 30 days, and I think we can make it. I really do. We hit over 500 in 90 days. That is amazing. Like, I looked up all the, me and the statistics and learning. That's unheard of. And so we're really growing very quickly, and it's because of you. It's because of you sharing our videos, telling people, speaking our vision. And because you see what we see, you know what we're trying to do, and you believe in what we're doing. I really feel like it's going to happen for you. Whatever the vision is God gave you, I believe in that vision for you. Share it with us. Tell us what you're doing. Be unique. Be yourself. You don't have to be anybody else. People thought I was crazy. I tell you that all the time. You will never no till on clay in Louisiana. You can't make any money with rabbits. I mean, well, why don't y'all go buy 20 acres? You can't farm on 2 acres. Quit letting people speak into your life that only want to see you fail. Get people in your boat that's going to row in the same direction, or like my husband said, you're just going to spin in a circle. Basically, what we already knew, what our videos from yesterday and the day before has basically been telling you guys, is the Inflation Reduction Act. It's not going to reduce inflation. It's going to push it up. That's a fact, okay? You can't spend what you don't have. And printing more money, like if that's your answer, if that's really what you believe in, you don't want to watch my videos, because that doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. In this Inflation Reduction Act and climate reduction, a lot of people are like, oh, I'm all for it. Are you? For 87,000 new IRS agents? And I personally believe, along the line of Glenn Beck, who we just watched, they're hiring that many new IRS agents for one reason. They're going to be given subsidies to farmers not to farm. Okay? They want to allow a bunch of land to go back into conservation They want to see farmers using cover crops for longer periods. Like, I'm all for cover crops. I'm a no-till cover crop, completely organic, regenerative. You guys hear all my videos on that. Like, I don't think I need their harsh chemicals to grow my food. Not the pesticides, not the herbicides, not the fertilizers. I don't need it. My forefathers didn't need it, and I can do it too. But that takes time. My husband and I were talking about this. Like, it really takes time to get your soil health back up and running. Really, really does. So we're running out of time, America. As they began to clamp down with all these new policies, with all these new regulations, with this Green Deal climate change, you were seeing FSMA. Talked about that in a video yesterday. We're seeing the FSMA, the Obama era laws kicking in now, right? Like, it almost feels pre-planned. Like, Obama was a ways back, but we're feeling him still, and we're only just beginning to feel that now. All right, you're going to have water quality laws you have to meet if you're going to farm. You're going to have people all over your property telling you when they see a little bit of deer damage to something, that means everything within so many feet of that damaged plant has to be removed. Like, they're going to clamp down so hard on you. To get any food out of the ground is going to be almost impossible if you're trying to make money in doing it. Now, I say that almost impossible because, guys, I'm telling you now, you need to get in your Bibles and you need to understand what God says. There's a part in the Bible that says the wealth of the wicked is laid up for the just. Are you the just? Are you the righteous? Then you have to understand that God will provide for you, but you're going to have to put yourself in a position to receive it. And unless you already have it in your heart and you know that you're going to fight to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ and you're going to do the right things for that money, well, then you're probably not going to get it. God will provide. It's like extending your faith through this period of time. I'm hearing a lot of people, everything's going bad, it's going bad, it's going bad. For some of you, it might really be going bad, but I am telling you guys, it is the opposite at Starkey Farmstead. We are multiplying, we are prospering, we are debt-free. We have plans to purchase land around us here very soon. We were donated a $2,500 freezer for our vegetables in the summertime in Louisiana. That is a must. Like, we're seeing our dreams come true. We wrote a vision. We began to walk it out. All right. I know that it looks crazy in the world, but if you begin to speak, excuse me, if you begin to speak, I'm broke, I don't have enough money, I can't pay my electric bill, my kids are going hungry, guess what happens? Your words have power. So if you're saying, I'm broke, I'm broke, I'm broke, I'm broke, I'm broke, I'm broke, you're what? You're broke. Now, I'm not asking you to be like some of these people and call something that is not something it is. What I'm saying is that when you were weak, he is strong. So what I usually will say is, no matter what it looks like in the physical world, no matter what my bank account looks like, I am rich in heavenly places. I sow, therefore I will reap a harvest. I apply biblical principles and promises to my life. God says, if you tithe, I will open up a window in heaven. I will pour a blessing out on you. Those are principles. So you know what I do? I tithe. And then when something comes against me, he also says in that same part of the Bible, he says, I will rebuke the devourer on your behalf. I will rebuke the devourer on your behalf. That's what God says, if you tithe. What's tithe? 10%. A lot of people want to argue with that. Argue it. I don't care. That's your opinion. The Bible tells me if I tithe, these two things will happen. Window in heaven will open. He will pour blessings on me that I cannot contain. And he will rebuke the devourer on my behalf. Now, when the devourer comes after my livestock, like with the attack from the dogs, you know what I do? I challenge you. I say, hey, get your hands off my stuff, dude. For real. I'm a child of the Most High King. I begin to speak the opposite of what is happening in that situation. Okay? I begin to claim biblical verses. I remind God, hey, God, I'm a tither. I tithe and I offer to my church faithfully. And I need you to fight for me because you fight my battles. Now, a lot of people are going to skip through this section. You're going to turn it off. You're going to go, that's insane. It might sound insane to you, but I'm telling you now, it's working for us. We're completely debt-free with a very little input cost on our farm. I mean, guys, for a 2-acre homestead with the amount of animals that we have, you would be shocked to see what my receipts every week look like. I make more off my farm than my farm costs me. Now let that sink in. I make more off the farm every week than I spend bringing things in on the farm for the farm. Something else about the Inflation Reduction Act, I think that you really need to get straight in your mind. You're going to have an ESG score. Ever heard of that? Some of you have, some of you have not. That's an environmental, social, governance score. So I was like, okay, well, I get the E, environmental. I get the S, that's social. What's the G for? Governance. What do they mean by that? That means that I'm willing to follow policy and I'm willing to toe the line. I'm willing to be open and honest, and my shareholders, stop right there. I don't have shareholders. I'm not ever going to have shareholders. Starkey Farmstead's not going to stay 2 acres. But we will never be in debt. And I will leave an inheritance to my grandchildren. Like, I'm building generational wealth right now for my kids and my grandkids and my great-grandkids. For my nieces and my nephews. To support our parents as they grow old. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm not going to take money from somebody so then they can come back and they can tell me how I need to run what I've created. Tell me how I need to do it their way when God gave us a specific vision that we're walking out. But I'm still going to have to follow their ESG score. And if the government doesn't like my ESG score, I'm going to get penalized. And possibly they'll come take my land and tell me that I can't farm anymore. That's happening in Europe right now. I think America, it's too late. We let this nonsense pass. Hey, baby. We let this nonsense pass. And our bad. We saw what's happening around the world, and we're just still sitting here, letting the communists take over our country. So if you're getting into homesteading, farmsteading, market gardens, farming in any way, you better get into your policies and learn them. Look for a way around them. Don't break them if you can, because they'll take everything you've got, guys. God bless you. We love you here at Starkey Farmstead. Please like, subscribe, and comment.
Alright, I ain't saying no more. Cut!